Just going live here with my friend Parris. What's going on?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
How are you doing, bro?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you, bro. Just very excited to come here today to have you on and just for us both to talk about some stuff to help some people.
Absolutely, man. Me too. Let me just adjust my lighting here so I'm a little bit brighter. There we go. There we go.
Let's get
Awesome,
it.
Yeah, happy to be here. Happy Friday too.
Yes, happy Friday, everyone. Parris and I are very excited to talk to you about everything. Wow, we have 6 people here so far. What's going on, everyone? Let us know how your day's going in the comments. Let me just put these in for you as well.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. So, Munene, what are some? I know we're going to talk about goal setting today, but what are some of your goals, man? I haven't even asked you that. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Okay. You're a little delayed. Say something else. Yeah, you're a little. It's a little out of sync. Maybe re-click in.
How's this now?
That's perfect.
Yeah, man, my AirPods have been giving me a bit of trouble recently. I don't know why when it comes to calls, but we should be okay. Sorry. Perfect. Glad you can hear me. Sorry, to answer your question, right now my goals with regards to fitness are I just came off of a maintenance phase. I had cut down for 14 weeks and now I'm just maintaining my body weight for 2 weeks and then 4 weeks into a bulk right now. How about you?
Nice. That's awesome, man. That's great. I'm in the last training block second last training block of my bulking phase. So I've been slowly pushing body weight up since May after I finished my show. And then when I get to January, I'm going to clean things up a little bit, do a little bit of a fat loss phase, and then hop right back into a surplus and start growing again for probably another 6 months and then do like a full extended cut. So it's kind of like a stepwise thing right now.
That's awesome, bro. I'm looking forward to seeing your results on that. I'm sure that's going to be amazing to see.
Thanks,
and for everyone who doesn't know Parris, we wanted to introduce ourselves to both of our audiences. So, Parris, if you could please just introduce yourself, let a few people here know what you're about and what makes you such an amazing human and a good friend.
Thanks, buddy. So I've always been, passionate about coaching. I actually started personal training when I was 17. And even before that, when I was 16, I was like writing programs for friends and family. And then I went to university. I studied human kinetics and business administration. And human kinetics is like kinesiology essentially. And throughout that, I was still coaching. And then I started the online portion of what now is Truth Body Systems, our online coaching company. And then after school, I actually went into pharmaceutical sales. So I went the sales route first. I did that for a couple of years as I was slowly building up the business. And then a year and a half ago, I took on the business full time. So I just, my main goal is to just get as many people in shape as possible, both like up here and, all this down here. So yeah, man, I consider myself a transformation coach. I don't really do any powerlifting or sports performance stuff. It's more just focused on fat loss, muscle gain type stuff. Yeah, man. How about you?
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, everyone, that's a bit of Parris's background. And it's had such a pleasure of meeting this guy. And he's just, his heart's in the right place. He's very empathetic and passionate about what he does. So be sure to check out his page because you'll definitely learn a lot from this young man over here.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, sorry about myself. So my whole fitness background was, I was very active at a young age and I was very involved in sports and I saw my dad go to the gym 3 times a week. But at that point in time, I was really active in sports, but tennis was the main one. And so I played tennis to a national level. I went internationally to play a few tournaments. And this was something I had my eyes set on career-wise.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, I was very insecure. I lacked vision in my life. I didn't know where I wanted to go. And I leveraged fitness as a way to change that. I was like going into the gym and, having this focus on myself. And that really excited a passion in me. And so I decided to pursue a career in that. And I studied a diploma in fitness and health and then transferred my credits to university where I'm now currently still a kinesiology student. And then the pandemic hit. And I was like, okay, let's start coaching. So opened that up because I had a passion for helping people. Didn't want them to have to go through what I wanted to and how the mindset is more than, it's just a transformation is more than just physical. And so that's what brings me here today. That's my story.
Amazing, amazing. I love it. And yeah, as you were saying, like I'm very grateful that we crossed paths through a mutual friend, and then we got to connect, and we're like, hey, we both kind of vibe on the same level and doing similar type stuff. And it's funny because a lot of times I don't actually connect on the same level with some other people in the fitness industry just because we don't see eye to eye on certain things. But like I feel like we meshed like right off the bat, and I'm just happy that we can connect and as you said, help some people. Hopefully, the goal.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for your kind words, man. I really do appreciate it. I'm grateful that we're here today to drop some knowledge and help you all with the new year to come.
Yeah, man.
And so the topic that Parris and I really wanted to talk about today was why you don't necessarily need to wait for the new year to start. And we're going to cover a few things, which has to do with goal setting, talk about reasons why a lot of individuals tend to fall off track, and then give you some actionable steps regarding how you can make a change today and look at a sustainable way to actually ensure that you adhere to this plan in the long run.
Right.
So in your eyes, Parris, why do you believe that this whole notion of I will wait till a certain date to start? Let's say 2022 is almost done and it's gone like this. And Jan 1st comes. And during Jan 1st, that's the reason, or that's the season where everyone's like, new year, new me, time to get after my goals. I'm going to make this year my year. Right. But in your eyes and what you've experienced in your perspective, what are some reasons you believe people tend to delay taking action and delay to a certain date?
It's a good question. And I think we might touch on this when we were chatting earlier, but it's like January is just an arbitrary time point that has been chosen as a fresh start for people, right? But it's just because that's our calendar year that has been selected by whatever, way back when, that this is how we organize our time. But it doesn't actually have any other significance. So like me on December 31st, my ability to execute and my ability to start chasing my goals is the exact same as January 1st, is the exact same as July 30th, is the exact same as August 4th or whatever, right? It's like, it's just a day that we do. And I think the mindset shouldn't be that I can only, I need a fresh start. Like that's I talk a ton about self-limiting beliefs, but it's like, I need that fresh start in order to be successful in reaching my fitness goals. I think we need to remove that idea and say, no matter what time of year it is, I can make it work. Yes, there might be portions of the year where, I'm more in than other portions of the year, but regardless, I'm still working towards something. And I don't need this arbitrary time period of it being the new year for me to actually hop into things.
I love that. Well said. I love the fact how you said it's just an arbitrary date. It's not like there's anything magical. It's not like that date does not hold power, right? Exactly. I love how you said, I can just take action December 31st, your abilities will still be the same. But you also touched on the point where you said there'll be times, or seasons rather, where one might be pressing on the throttle with a lot of strength, and then they may reduce it and go back and forth. But that's the thing, it's back and forth. It's never completely stopping. And so why I resonate with that so much is because I agree, there's no such thing. It's not like Jan 1st has power over December 20th or October 31st as well, right? It's like, it's just a date. And if we delay taking action, we're giving power to that date. Almost as if it's a fresh start, and now because of that magic date happens, something's drastically going to change automatically.
Right.
But that's not the case, because that date does not hold power. We are the ones who have the power to change our current reality. We are the ones who have the power to make a change today and take action. So it's not the date necessarily that has the power. We have it. And it's ultimately, we just have to ensure we are in the right mindset to take action towards that. And would you say, Parris, that's why you place a lot of emphasis on mindset?
Absolutely, man. I think we definitely connect with that. It's like, it all starts up here, man. It all starts up here. And let me tell you, the clients that kick the most ass, excuse my French, are not ones that are maybe the most genetically gifted or have the best tools, resources, and environment around them. It's the ones that have the best mindset that's saying, okay, regardless of these external factors that are going to obviously funnel in during the process, you're going to be affected by some sort of external factors. They will have the mindset that they're going to adapt and navigate and problem solve and hop over these obstacles versus letting, okay, everything has to be exactly perfect all at once. And as soon as something happens, just game over, I have to stop, right? It's like, you have to have that mindset of being adaptable and setting yourself up for success. Of like, we know things. It's kind of naive to think that nothing in your life, no obstacles are going to come up. Let's say you're going for like a 6-month transformation. What? Nothing's going to happen during that whole time frame, right? If you're a student, you're not going to have exams. You're not going to have relationship issues. Maybe you're not going to maybe move at some point. If somebody in family could pass away, like, you know, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But you know, life happens, and you don't get to choose when obstacles come. They just come, and life just says, "Here's this, catch," and you're like, "Oh shoot!" Right? So I think it's you got to set yourself up with the mindset from the get go that, hey, things are going to happen. That's why I'm not expecting perfection, but I'm going to be the person that's going to navigate, problem solve, and adapt along the way.
I love that, bro. I absolutely love that. We can't predict what the future will hold, but we can take control of the now and ensure that whatever there's sort of a sense of certainty and security in the fact where you acknowledge that you don't have full control over what's going to happen tomorrow, but you can you have control over now. And I feel like by accepting that and taking acknowledgement of the fact that there's always going to be something that's going to come up in the future, there's always going to be an obstacle, as you said, it allows us to focus on progress over perfection, where we're like, okay, how can I make progress despite having X, Y, Z in my path?
Right.
What can I do? And the word you used, I love, was navigate through this. Well, how can I still move forwards? Although I may not be going like this, I may have to take a U-turn here. I may have to go around the roundabout. I may have to stop a little, go to the right. It's like ultimately the end destination is progress. That is the goal, to make progress as opposed to focusing on being perfect. And tying this back to the new year, I feel like a big reason why many tend to struggle as soon as the new year goes through is because there's this mindset of perfection where I need everything to be lined up. I have X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. It all has to be lined up and everything has to be perfect. And the moment something comes in the way and something disrupts that pattern, it's like now we start going to a roller coaster, we fall off track because we didn't anticipate for these obstacles to come. Is that something you'd agree with?
Oh, 100%, man. As you said, if you have to anticipate something's going to come in, man. Absolutely. And would you say like that's like one of the key, if we say mindset traits of like successful clients or whatever, do you think that is having that kind of adaptable mindset, or are there any other mindsets that you find really help with people in like reaching their goals that you see?
Yeah, I would definitely say what I like is definitely the adaptability, the ability to adapt to whatever's going to come your way, and the ability to acknowledge that, okay, like I don't have full control. But one thing else, another thing I would say that I've noticed to me that really allows one to consistently adhere to their plan, and despite the obstacles that come in their way, is just understanding that it's okay. It goes back to this aspect of perfection. But if I could sum it up differently, it's just understanding that what happens now is not necessarily going to be indicative of where I'm going to be. They have this sense of, I'm here currently in my life, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm facing, but I know that this is a season. And that's what one of my clients have told me. This is a season of my life. And I'm like, expand upon that. They're like, I know that this is what I'm going through now, but I know that this isn't going to last forever. I know that this is temporary. Absolutely. I know that I'm struggling with my macros and maybe my nutrition. As soon as I come on the program, things are not perfect. I'm struggling with hitting the gym in the beginning, but they acknowledge that, okay, this is where I am now, but this is not where I'm going to be forever. And once they have that mindset and they acknowledge that and they take action consistently, it's this cycle, momentum becomes the driving factor. And now they've got into such a consistent routine and they start to see progress. They're like, oh my gosh, like I'm going 4 times a week, I'm doing this. And so I'd say that ability to just acknowledge that the struggles you have are not permanent.
Absolutely, man. And I think it's just accepting the fact that there's stepping stones to get you across the pond. You know what I mean? It's not like you're just in this jet boat and you just go in one push rate all the way from like one side of the pond to the other side of the pond. It's like there's like one hop here, you take a step on a stepping stone, then you got to get the next one. It's like a stage-wise approach, especially if you're starting from a point where you don't have the habits, behaviors, skill set yet to crush your fitness journey. Those are all skills, behaviors, habits that you have to develop. So you can't go from A to B just like that and make the jump, even if you're like, well, so-and-so did it. Well, so-and-so spent, 2 years building up these habits, skills to be able to navigate their life and like make fitness a good part of it, right? So it's like, yeah, once you have those skills and habits all set up, then you can make those bigger jumps. But if you're just going to start, like, you really need to accept that there's stepping stones to this game and there's levels to this game, right?
There are levels to this game, and I love how you talk about habits. And when it comes to, like, you know, making progress long term, I feel like if you start now, focused on trying to develop those habits. Sorry, imagine what happens when Jan first comes. You're already going. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're already going. You have those 2 months where you focus on deeply ensuring that you have the fundamentals in check. You're getting your mindset sorting. You're getting things planned. By the time Jan first comes, how much traction will you have already gained? Just look at that.
All guns blazing, man. All
guns blazing. Parris is so right. It's about habits, behaviors, and actions. Those are the driving force. When something is a habit, it's almost autonomous. It's like, it's just part of our routine. We just do it without even questioning sometimes the emotions are surrounding it. Yes, we will be conscious of our emotions and how we're feeling, but it becomes like, it's just part of our nature, and we just take action. And so I feel like what you said, there's level to these games, right? Levels to this game. So during the new year, what are some common mistakes you see a lot of individuals make that causes them to fall off track?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a common mistake is not thinking about the long term and just focused on, like, okay, I'm going to go hard for 8 weeks in the new year, and then magically I'm just going to maintain that shape I got in. It's like, okay, well, how about first we give you 3-4 months, and then we teach you all the skills to, you know, keep that going. Maybe you're not as gung-ho after that, but you at least know the behaviors and skills to be able to continue making progress after that, or at least maintain your progress after that. So it's like, it's all in the setup. It's like going with the expectation that this is a lifestyle change. And yes, you might be going like hard out of the gates in the new year, but like, what skills do you need to uphold to then continue that afterwards? So it's not the New Year's is not this phase where you just get in shape and then that's it. It's like the New Year's might be your kickstart, but it's not what kind of keeps the gas going the whole time.
It's not what keeps the gas going. So what does keep the gas going?
The development of the skills and behaviors and habits, man. As I'm saying, like, if you just have that narrow-minded view of like, these 8 weeks, this is what I'm doing, whatever, how long you choose to set your goals for the new year, it's like you're missing the big picture, right? You should be asking yourself, what skills am I learning through these 8 weeks that are going to serve me for the rest of my life, or serve me for the next year, or whatever, right? It's like this is all about skill development, developing the skill about like learning your body, knowing how to train with intent, knowing how to organize your life with time management to include, you know, working out or getting enough sleep and all those like fundamental things. It's like, how can I make those so ingrained in who I am? They're just a part of my life, right? Like, you don't need me texting you in the morning being like, Munene, did you brush your teeth this morning? You just wake up and you go for it. I want that same thing with all those basic principles that are conducive to getting people in shape. It's like, we want those to be as automatic as you brushing your teeth, just as you were alluding to earlier, right? It's like everything's already just happening. Regardless, just because it's just ingrained in it's just what you do. Just what you do. No thinking.
Love that, Parris. Thank you so much for sharing that and enlightening us, man. And I think that, as you said, a lifestyle change cannot happen in 8 weeks. And don't view New Year's as this phase, because what happens is you go guns blazing right off the bat when you haven't developed the habits, you haven't developed the routine, you haven't developed the understanding. And so if you go guns blazing, you're going to just discourage yourself. And we don't want you to feel discouraged. We don't want you to have this negative association with exercise and nutrition. Because I feel like what happens a lot of the time is when the new year comes, people are like, okay, I've said this to myself 2 years ago. I've made no progress. I'm in the same position. And they might be in the mindset of, I want to make as much progress as I can. So I'm just going to go balls to the wall, excuse my French as well. Like, just go all out, right? Like, all out, meaning and this is someone who was perhaps doing nothing the year before, okay? I'm going to go to the gym 6 times a week. I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm going to like try and have like no carbs in all of my meals. I'm going to try get 8,000 steps every single day. And then on top of that, I'm going to do cardio 4 times of the week. Look at that. That's 6 variables that you've just thrown at yourself when you're previously not even doing one. So what happens is you put all this on yourself, And since you have not formed the habits, since you have not formed the skills, since you have not cultivated the mindset and the understanding of your body and nutrition, it becomes very easy to, number one, you could potentially put yourself in a very detrimental position with regards to your health and your hormones and etc. But not only that, mentally, you discourage yourself. You impose more limiting beliefs upon yourself because you take action for a short period of time. But because none of this is sustainable, because all of this is foreign and you have not introduced yourself to it gradually, what happens is you fall off track and then you're like, this isn't for me. Fitness is not sustainable. There's something special about those other people who are able to take action. This is not meant for me. I'm just not cut out for this. But you are. You have it within you. We both believe in you. We both know you can do this. It's just about what Parris said, forming the habits, understanding that this takes time. Don't go balls to the wall. Take it one step at a time. Maybe, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. Maybe not even the gym. I'm going to go on a walk today. As simple as that.
Better than what you were doing before. If you aren't doing anything, anything is better.
Exactly. Anything is better than what you were doing previously. And that's why I think that going balls to the walls as soon as the new year comes is not advisable. We understand how much you want to see progress because of that stagnation. But ultimately, as Parris said, take it one step at a time. Which brings me to my next question for you is, what are some actionable ways that one can ensure that they are taking action appropriately? Does that have to do with goal setting? And if so, please could you elaborate upon that as well as some other things you would recommend or suggest?
Yeah, I think it all starts with having and this is difficult, I think, for a lot of people, is having really high level of self-awareness of where you are at right now. Where am I at right now?
Love that.
What am I doing? What does my lifestyle look like? Where's my mindset at? And like, what are my self-limiting beliefs? And like having that just really good self-awareness, because then from there, then you can say, okay, these are the changes that are realistic for me to implement, and here's what my game plan can look like. But if you have no clue where your starting point is and where you're at, then how are you supposed to form a good game plan, right? And like it all comes from, we need a good setup, then we need a good strategy, and then we need good execution, right? But if you don't even know where the setup is, and you don't even know how to craft a strategy, how are you going to know how to execute, right? So it's like it's having that really high level of self-awareness out of the bat, or out of the gates.
I love that. I heard this quote that said self-awareness is the first step to solving any problem or making any change. It's acknowledging where you're at currently so that you can meet yourself where you're at.
100%.
If you do not meet yourself where you're at, it's going to be very hard to, number one, make a change, but also make a sustainable and long-lasting change. So I definitely agree with what Parris is saying. And one thing that I would like to touch upon as well is that thing where you said setup, strategy, and execution. Is in order to understand where you're currently at, right? There are a few things that you can do. One thing I love to do is just collect data. Like collect data, right? So one thing you can do, and this is why I am so, and I know Parris and I have talked about this, is you don't need, let's talk about nutrition for a second. You don't need to track your macros. The word is need, right? You do not need to track your macros to see progress in your fitness journey, right? However, without any data, how do you know if you're going to progress in one direction? It's objective, it's quantitative. And because of that, it gives us a great assessment. It's not like I'm eating a lot or I'm eating a little. Okay, 100%. But how much is a lot? How much is a little? So exactly. So by collecting data, we can touch on the different elements. But with your nutrition, if you just collect data, like write down on a sheet, first of all, you don't even need to worry about apps and weighing. Just get a piece of paper or your phone and write down what you eat in a day. Like, what are you currently eating? Like, am I having 2 slices of toast? How much water am I having? Like 1 glass of water. And that goes back to the point, once you actually just write down what you eat on a daily basis, you gain awareness, which is what Parris said. Awareness is the first step to making any change. So you start this, don't wait for the new year. Even try this today, right? As you move forward, just write down what you eat. Like if you went to a store, you got this, you got that, you went out, whatever it is, just write it down. and then take a step back and you look at this. It gives you an objective perspective. You're like, ah, okay. And from that, now you can decide how to make changes appropriately. But what do you think about that? Or what are some other things you would want to touch on as well?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think that's really important. And, you know, everybody would love to be at the point where they can navigate their nutrition in a progressive manner without tracking. But you have to go through the period of tracking and quantifying before you have that skill developed. I've been talking about skills. That's one of the skills. Like, can I, you know, go and make tons of progress in my fitness journey without tracking my food? Yeah. But is that because that's also because I spent 5 years tracking my macros, right? So it's like, you know, you have to earn that as a privilege. So it's like everybody wants to be up here, but you haven't even developed all the skills that will give you that elevator up there. So it's like, you know, just being realistic. And I think, as you're saying, like, you start as simple as possible, and then you just slowly start upping the ante from there, right? If you're like, okay, you know what, right now I'm doing nothing. I've been eating Cheetos all day and I'm playing video games. No problem. What's one thing that I'm going to implement this week? That's 3 times a week. I'm going to go on a 30-minute walk. I'm going to eat 20% of the Cheetos I usually eat. And I'm going to add a serving of protein to my dinner. Boom. That's all you're doing week 1. Week 2, what are we going to do now? Add another serving of protein, 2 resistance trainings on top of that, and maybe no more Cheetos. Let's go have some fruit instead. Next week, what's the next thing? And then you slowly scale up, and before you know it, now those skills are developed and now your lifestyle is completely shifted, but it didn't seem like you made a huge jump because it was a scaled approach. Just like anything, you need a scaled approach to kind of normalize into it and gradually like let yourself like come into that new you almost. And you can't just like jump into it because then you're going to hit the wall.
Bro, that was so beautifully said. I was even getting goosebumps, man. I was getting goosebumps listening to you, bro. That is like, oh, that is so true. It's what you said right now about the nutrition. It's like you're just familiarizing yourself with small little things that are changing. It's not like you're saying, this is who I am, I'm going to cut this out completely, get rid of this, blue, and then step into this new person. Because as we both said, mindset, in order to change, you need to step into a new version of yourself. You need to become a new version of yourself. But that doesn't mean, how do we change? How do we become who I am now to who I want to be? We can't just say, I'm going to completely get rid of all the things that this current version of me is doing. Well, how can we systematically do that in order to change? And that's what Parris was saying, like, do this. It's a process. It's a step-by-step journey. It's a journey. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's where I really agree with you. And that's one thing I love that you're talking about, that, introducing it. And that's the thing. Introduce yourselves to these things. Look at it one step at a time. When the time comes, don't wait for the new year. Start now. Look at certain things. How can you make actionable small steps that will ultimately get you in the right direction?
100%, man.
And so when it comes to like setting a goal, Parris, how do you personally set goals, and how do you perhaps help like your clients go through a goal setting process? What's your framework?
Good idea. And maybe we can talk a bit about like SMART goals, the acronym now as well. So again, step 1 is self-awareness of where you're at, right? And then I think from there is being very objective and very logical with like what exactly we're setting. So SMART goals, it's an acronym for, my interpretation of it is specific, right? It has to be a specific goal. You can't just say, I want to get in shape. What does that mean? What does that look like? Like, that doesn't give us anything. So very specific, right? I want to get this look by this day and whatever, right? Or I want to bench press 100 pounds for 3 reps by November 12th, something like that, right? So specific. Next one is measurable. Along the way, do we have variables that we can keep track of to know if we're actually heading in the right direction or not, right? We need to be tracking something. So is it measurable? Is it attainable for me? Like if I said, I want to become a pro surfer, not attainable because I don't even have an ocean around me, right? So it's not really attainable. Or I want to be Mr. Olympia. Okay, you know what? Do I really even have the Gen X for that? Something like that. So it has to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic. So, I can't say I want to be able to fly by December 31st. Like, that's not realistic. It's not possible, right? So realistic. And then the last one, is T represents time sensitive or timely. So having a distinct timeline for this goal, right? And I think to give an example of like specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive would be, let's say I want to drop 20 pounds, okay? Let's say I want to lose 20 pounds. Let's say it's realistic and attainable for me to drop 1 pound a week based on where I'm at, right? Okay, 1 pound a week, So it's going to take me 20 weeks. So that means by this date, 20 weeks ahead of time, that is my goal to have dropped 20 pounds. Okay. So once you have that specific, you know, it's measurable, our unit of pounds, let's say, it's specific. I want 20 pounds, right? And it's by that specific day, time sensitive, and it's realistic because it's a sustainable pace, we'll call it, right? So from there, now we work backwards. So we have self-awareness of where we're at. We have a very specific goal that we follow the S.M.A.R.T framework. And now let's work back. Okay, from there, what does my training need to look like? What does the starting point for my expenditure need to look like? What does the starting point for my nutrition need to look like? Based off everything I know about myself, based off my lifestyle, based off my preferences, based off my body specifically, what's my starting point? And then you can adjust as you go there. So it's kind of like, here's a goal. Now let's work back and make a good starting point. And then we know we're going to adjust as we go. And why can we adjust? Because we have markers of measuring progress on the way, because we said one of the key things is being able to measure, right? It's measurable.
Would you say that ties into the setup, strategy, and execution? Is the goal setting is part of the setup?
Absolutely.
And then now you're saying, do we have actionable markers? Like, you know, what are we going to use? What metrics are we going to use? That's now the strategy. What's the nutritional strategy? The expenditure, that's the strategy. And then you have to set up the goal, then you have the strategy, and then you execute.
Then you just get after
it. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. I love that. I love that.
How about you, man? Anything you wanna sprinkle on top of there? You agree?
I completely agree with what you're saying. I completely agree with what you're saying, and that's why I was like, yeah, because I feel it, bro. I feel it. Like, I love it. And one thing I would say as well is, I love to attach the S.M.A.R.T acronym. Beautiful. I love to attach another thing on top of that, which is a why.
Let's do it.
Because I feel like I love attaching the why, and this goes back to a mindset. Sometimes it can be very easy to enter autopilot, and then we're taking action, we're very excited, but well, as we said, there are obstacles along the way. Nothing is ever going to be linear. Fat loss is never linear. Muscle growth is never linear. It's about understanding, when we hit these roadblocks, why do I want to achieve this? By having a reason that is so compelling, by having something that you are deeply convicted to pursue, and you're almost evangelic about this cause, like you really want this to happen.
Yeah.
If you have that why, whenever you're faced with these roadblocks, you go back to your why. And I literally mean write it down. Because sometimes if it's in the head, it's just, they say that a thought or like a goal is not written down as a wish. So if you actually write it down, and yes, you may know why you want it, but you write it down, you take a step back and you look. So I want to do this to be able to play with my kids. I want to be there 20 years from now to walk my daughter down the aisle, being healthy and fit. I want to be able to, you know, provide a better life for my friends. I want to be able to climb a mountain and have all these fun experiences. I want to be fit and healthy. Whatever your goal is, by having a why and attaching a why to that goal, boom. Now you set yourself up for having a vision. Is that something you'd agree with?
Absolutely, bro. Strong why is super important, and I'm gonna kind of add on to that. It's like this thing you said about writing down your goals is huge. I wish you guys could see right now, but I have 2 different whiteboards, and on them I do have like specific goals that I want to hit that are following SMART goals metric. But I think coming back to your why is also important. Like, you know, I also have, like, my why is that I'm trying to change as many people's lives as possible up here and around here. So I have that as a sticky note that I've written down. I said, change someone's life today. And so every time I sit down at my desk, that's why I see it's a reminder of, why are you doing this? Why are you getting up early to work? Why are you working all day long? Why are you pulling weekends and stuff like that? It's like, why? Because of that. That's such a strong why for me. I feel that like just like so deep, and I want that so much, and it's so intrinsic. It's not because, oh, I want to build my business so that I make so and so jealous, and they're like, you know what I mean? You can't have you can have extrinsic motivators as a sprinkle on top. But all the ice cream sundae has to be mostly intrinsic from right here inside. I want this for me because of this, right? I want to feel healthy so I can take my kids to school and not be out of breath when I'm walking into school, right? Or I don't know. I want to be there's so many examples, and it's kind of personal, right? It's like, I want to finally be able to go to the beach and take my shirt off and not be self-conscious. Like that was my kind of why when I started my fitness journey. And I think like those things, that's a life-changing thing, man. If you're somebody, you can't even take your shirt off at the beach because you're so self-conscious about how you feel, so you avoid going on vacation, you don't go to the pool with your friends, you're missing parties. Like that's a horrible feeling. It's life-changing if you can remove that and say, hey, I got an amazing shape, I'll take my shirt off and I'm happy with who I am. That is life-changing. And that why is so powerful that whenever anything's coming, you're like, no, I'm sticking to my game plan because this matters more than anything else. This matters more than anything.
So compelling. That's so well said, Parris. It's like, it's so compelling. It's so compelling. And it reminds you ultimately of the process. It ultimately reminds you of why you're taking action towards the process, why you started, and ultimately where you want to go, because of the why. It needs to be compelling. So if you have this framework, all these strategies that we've shared today, take that, use that framework, and then on top of that, ask yourself why you want this goal. And what Parris just touched on, the extrinsic versus intrinsic. Intrinsic comes from within. Extrinsic is you're letting external factors motivate you, which, as he said, there's nothing wrong with wanting external factors, but they're the sprinkle.
No.
They're the cherry on top. Right? Ultimately, I love that ice cream sundae thing, by the way. The ice cream sundae is the intrinsic. Yeah, I'm going to have to steal that one for me, bro.
Go for it, man. Go for it.
But as he said, like, let it come from within. Because ultimately, that the strength of intrinsic motivation far outweighs extrinsic motivation. Right? And that it needs to be something that compels you. Like, as Parris said, he's so passionate about changing people's lives. He understands how this is a whole different conversation about how fitness can change your life forever, right?
That's our next slide.
Exactly, next slide. But it just needs to be compelling.
Thanks, Jonathan. I see you, brother.
Hey, thank you so much. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for everyone who's tuned in. We appreciate you.
Thank you. But no, I 100% agree, man. And let me ask a question, not to interrupt you, but like, what's your why? What's your why? Because I kind of told you mine already. I'm on a mission. I'm interested to hear yours as well. I'll put you on the spot.
Yeah, sure, man. What's funny is my why is very similar to yours. I have it actually written down in a sentence that I can articulate it very clearly. My why is two things. First one, but they all sum up into one. The first one is to change as many people's lives as I can, physically, mentally, and emotionally, by bringing them along an everlasting journey of growth towards optimal health. And I asked myself, that's it, physical, mental, emotional, everlasting journey of growth towards optimal health. The second one is to help people overcome their self-limiting beliefs by using fitness as a vehicle to instill positive changes in their lives. So it's like, that's my why. Like, that's what gets me fired up. Being able to see someone transform their lives mentally, physically, and emotionally because of something that I either said or something, how I helped them. I just want to give and give and give and be of service. And that's what gets me fired up. And to the point where before I even post content, like if one of my posts gets 3 likes, 4 likes, whatever. So I actually tell myself, and this may be a bit much, but I actually tell myself, if I don't post today, I'm doing someone a disservice. If I do not make a post today, I am doing someone a disservice.
Right.
Because my cause is to help someone. And if I do not make a post on Instagram, I don't know who is going through that. And there's something I heard that you, Parris, are only capable, not that but you are capable, you, Parris, of reaching someone. There's someone that only can hear you, Parris. Not to say that you're limited with your impact, but every one of us, right? There's certain people that only we can tap into. And even the people who are listening, there's certain people that you can tap into, certain people you can connect with. That doesn't mean that you won't connect with others. It's just saying that, think of it, there's someone out there who needs to hear your voice. And so
100%,
I align with you. And I think that's why I love our conversations. It's so, it's organic, it's flowing, it's back and forth. And I feel like that's because ultimately we share the same why. And it's amazing, man.
I see Coach Courtney commented, such parallel perspectives. You two make a powerful duo. Thanks, Coach. And thanks, John, for your comment as well. I see that, all that. But yeah, man, I
thank you, Courtney.
agree, man. And that's why I asked you. I was like, hey bro, it's like, we're gonna need another coach here at Truth Vices one day. You want? What are you doing? But I know you want to do your own thing, so I can't. But like, just because it's rare to find somebody that vibes like that on that level. But yeah, absolutely, man. I 100% align with everything we're saying, man. 100% align with everything we're saying.
It's
I'm trying to
powerful.
think of if, yeah. I love that why. It's good.
Thank you, Parris. It means a lot, man. I love yours too, and I respect all the thing you're doing. Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing, just start now. Start now.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge that it's not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to face obstacles. You're going to face challenges. But ultimately, if you start now, don't delay it. Because if not now, then when? Like, when? When? Because we can trick ourselves. I did the exact same thing. I'm not here trying to say that I'm perfect. I make mistakes all the time. When I first was even trying to start my the coaching business to help people, it's like, I'm not ready. I'll start in like a month. When I have this, I have to get this back end thing done first, and then I'll start. And then no, not now. September came, but nah, not now. But if I didn't start, what impact would I have been able to make? Like none.
100%, man.
Just start now.
100%. And I the way I phrased it to myself was, I have a moral responsibility to be able to use the gifts, resources, tools, and abilities I have to help people. And that's one of the reasons why I took this on full time, because I was like, I have a moral responsibility to help as many people as possible. And it's selfish for me to chase other things when I know I can help people, and I know I should. And I'm not trying to sound like arrogant or egotistical, because there's a lot of people with more skills. I'm just saying, it's like, when you know your purpose, it's like you have to do not only yourself the service of like following through on that, because that's the most fulfilling thing you can do, is follow through with your purpose. But secondly, it's like, if your purpose is to help people, you're doing a disservice to the value that you can give to the world almost, right? Or the community, if you don't just go all in on it, man. And that's why I love when you said, it's like, if I don't post today, it's like there's somebody out there that potentially needed to see that post, and now like I kind of let them down, right? And not to say you have to post every single day or else like you're failing, but it's just like that kind of, I think it's more the mindset that comes with that. It's like somebody needs to see this, and somebody needs to read this word. And I love the fact that you talk about taking quick action. And I think, a quote that I used in one of my posts a while ago is like, urgency in the short term and patience over the long term. So for example, when you start your coaching business, like, I'm so urgent with my actions to get this business up and running, right? I want to get my systems in place. I want to get clients getting results as quick as possible, right? But you're patient to know that growing a business and growing a clientele is going to take a long time. Same thing with your fitness journey. I'm going to hit this hard, right? But I don't expect results tomorrow. I'm gonna take big action today and tomorrow and the next day and the day after, and the results are just gonna freaking start funneling in. But I'm not expecting them tomorrow. I'm expecting it's gonna take a long time. I'm patient in the long run, but right now I'm gonna freaking get after it. Like I have to. Like I feel such a sense of urgency just to like hit it hard right off the bat, because I know that sense of urgency in the short term, but the patience in the long term, that's how you win. That's how you really win.
Oh, drop the mic, Parris in the house. Let's go. Bro, I love that. I love that. Urgency in the short term, but patience in the long term. And that's like those initial inputs, the deposits you make now will not necessarily show themselves. It's like you invest now, you put in those deposits, you put those deposits in, and then later down the line is when they'll present themselves.
Yeah.
So I love that. Urgency in the short term, but patience in the long term.
Yeah. I'm gonna steal somebody else's. I didn't come up with this, so I'm not gonna claim credit for this one. But it was the idea of when you go to the bank, let's say you went to a new bank, you've never gone there before, you never put any money in, and you just asked to withdraw money. They're gonna be like, dude, you haven't deposited anything, you can't withdraw money. But if you've been putting dollars every single day for the past 4 years, when you go to the bank and say, hey, I would like to draw some money, they're like, yeah, how much? Same thing with your fitness journey. You're expecting tons of results. You haven't even put any deposits in the bank, and you're going to the bank and be like, where's my money? You know what I mean?
Yes.
You haven't put in the reps.
No, that's very well said, man. I love that one. I think I've heard that one too, and it puts sometimes analogies, they just help put things into perspective. And what you said right now, it's the same thing. Like, make the deposits today. The deposits don't need to be drastic. The deposits can be 15-minute walk. Let's go. Like after this live, if you have or maybe later today, I'm going on a walk. Just make those deposits small and steady. Small and steady.
Pennies in the piggy bank each day, man. Pennies in
Exactly.
the
And
each
then
day.
what happens when the piggy bank's full and you're like, what's inside this thing? Open it up and you're like, okay, let's go. Now you have the tools, the skills, the strategies. You can use that because you've deposited into it, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
And that's amazing, man. I generally have to say it's so powerful. There's like fitness and all this the mindset of it. It's just, this is how you take action. It starts with the mind. Starts with the mind. This is literally where everything starts, and that's why we place a lot of emphasis on mindset content. And do you find that that many may find, I don't know what the right word here is, so I'm just going to say hoo-ha. But do you find that when personally, let me say, when I talk a lot about mindset to certain people, even in everyday life,
they think it's wishy-washy or something.
Yes, wishy-washy, or they're almost like cringe. Like, why are you going so deep? Like, why so deep about mindset? That's like some voodoo wishy-washy thing. But have you experienced that, or?
Kind of, but I think only when people think it's not genuine. But then when they actually meet me, they're like, "Oh, this guy actually really believes everything he's saying." Like, it's not just like I'm putting on this facade, or else it wouldn't come across with as much oomph as I say it, right? But it's like, I think those type of people that might think the mindset stuff is more wishy-washy, they don't get it yet. And it takes you actually going through it and actually having that kind of development to then make that click, right? And then you're like, all this makes sense now. You know what I mean? But I think the people that don't get it they don't have the necessary readiness to like jump into their journey of self-development themselves. So that's like that barrier that's still there. And then they need to remove that to then accept that journey and then accept all the development that comes with it. And then that click happens. But I think it's more of like, they still have that barrier in front of them. And that's fine, right? I mean, but until they realize and have the self-awareness, like we were talking about before, to remove that barrier, now they can accept these and know that like these things that we're talking about are all the basic principles for just development and progress in general, man. And these principles can be applied to like any scenario you want them to, right? It's not just fitness. Like these are all transferable skills. And that's why fitness and mindset is the catalyst to everything else in your life, right? If you don't feel confident about yourself, how are you going to show up at work? If you can't stand to look at yourself in the mirror, how are you going to go into the dating world and like find a partner, right? Because you have to be comfortable with yourself first to then be able to give to the rest of the world, right? How are you going to give in the workplace if you feel like crap about yourself? How are you going to give to a relationship and another partner if you're not even happy with who you are? So you need to start here first with all of this and up here and get to where you want to be for you to be able to give back and then accept more after giving, right? So anything you want in life, it's got to start from you working on yourself, and that's the catalyst, and it expands from there.
Woo! Woo! I love that, man. Parris, you're on fire right now, bro. Bro, you need to go jump in the pool or something, bro.
I gotta go take a nap. No, it's because I just hit chest day with our client Rafa, and we sent it at a PR, so it must have been.
Let's go. No, I absolutely love that, man. And thank you so much for having this talk, man. I really, really enjoyed this, and I hope that everyone who tuned in really enjoyed hearing this as well. I have to say that this young man over here is doing amazing things. He's very genuine, so passionate, very hardworking. He's here to serve. He's here to help. So please check out Parris's page. Like, give him a like, give him a follow. He has some great content, and he's here to help and serve you in many ways than you could ever imagine. More ways than you could ever imagine. So please,
I appreciate that.
Great guy.
And same to Munene. I mean, his content's awesome, very high quality. I know Jack does a really good job of the videos, and the content and topics and the info is always spot on. So I think, yeah, obviously there's a good follow as well. And I think, you know, I don't often recommend other coaches because, no offense to a lot of the fitness industry, but I don't trust them. But I would recommend, and thanks, Courtney, for your comment.
Thank you.
I would recommend Munene as a coach as well. I mean, obviously, you know, we love to work with everybody as well, but I would recommend Munene as a good coach because I'm sure he would do a good job and take care of you.
Thank you so much, Parris. I could exactly say the exact same thing about you, like from the bottom of my heart, man, wholeheartedly. I really could. And thank you so much, Courtney, for your kind comments. And I'd hopefully love to meet you one day. I've heard Parris say amazing things about you, and Adam as well. So I wish you all the best with all your endeavors, Courtney, whatever you're doing. And Sahil, Sahil's over here too. What's up, Sahil? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yeah, man. Oh wow, look at all.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you for the feedback, everyone. We're very grateful. This is something we just decided. Like I remember we had met and we're like, hey, should we go live? Like, why don't we go live? Like, let's just do it. Let's have a conversation on a Friday and see what we can touch on and how we can share perspectives, learn from each other, and provide some value. So this was something that was, I'd say we planned it. It wasn't too spontaneous, but the idea came out of nowhere. And we're like, oh yeah, cool. Why not? Why not?
It was your idea. It was a great idea. And I'm sure we'll do some more in the future. And I know we're going to hit a workout together next week so you can show me up and out-angle me.
No way. Bro, you're gonna have to help me with my RDL form, SLDL form.
Oh.
Yeah. And you see, that's the thing. I know the lives ended, but coachability. Understanding that what you know now, don't put a barrier on what you know. Parris is a coach. I'm a coach. I'm still asking him to look at certain things. Everyone needs help. We're not perfect. There's something Parris could see that I'm not seeing. And so it's like, have the humility to acknowledge that there's always something to learn. And so I'd love for you to have a look at my technique when we do the SLDS together. Give me some pointers and tips that I can reinforce, man. But yeah, thank you. We'd love to do another one soon. We're definitely going to get a workout in. And some cool footage is coming. So stay tuned.
Absolutely, man. And any last parting thoughts? I know we'll kind of close it up here because we got a couple calls as well. But any last parting thoughts? Anything on this Friday to take into the weekend for people to sit and like absorb and think about?
Yeah, so number one is start now. Be proactive. That's literally it. Yeah. Just take a step back, whatever you're doing. Open a blank sheet on your phone or your notebook, and try go through. You can even rewatch the live. Like just one little thing. Just write down. Yeah. What do I want to achieve? And then try follow the acronym. That's it. Don't worry about going up and doing a walk today. Don't worry about yes, get your movement in. I'm not trying to say don't exercise or eat well. But if there's one thing, I'd say try and gain some more self-awareness and establish what it is you want now, today, or this weekend, so that you can now come up with the framework and start taking action before the new year. That's the one thing I'd say. Gain that self-awareness today. What about you, Parris?
I love that, man. I'm going to tell people to set bigger goals, but give themselves appropriate time to hit them. Because people like setting, people like setting medium goals and don't give themselves enough time to hit them. I'm going to say set even bigger goals, but just give yourself enough time to hit them.
Powerful. I love that, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Awesome, dude.
I love that.
Great. This is great, man. I'm all fired up. I need to go hit another workout now that I'm all fired up. No, joking.
A brain workout now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, man. Exactly. No, man, absolute pleasure. And we'll definitely do another one. And if anybody has any questions for us, obviously reach out at any time. If you have any topics you want us to chat about next time, anything, man, we're here. As we said, we're here to help and let's just get after it. Everybody just get after it. And that's it.
Let's do it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Parris. Hope you have a great one, brother. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in. We appreciate your time and hope you got some value for this. And as Parris said, you need anything, you know where to find us. But take care, and we look forward to seeing you soon. See you, Parris. Have a good one, bro.
Bye.
Awesome.
You too. Cheers.
Bye.